So here I've already opened up an ArcMap session with a digital elevation model loaded in here. This is actually up towards the Adirondacks. We're going to work on a place called Horseshoe Pond. And so this is a DEM, and it has, if I right click on the layer name over here and look at its properties, we can see it's a source. Under source, we can check it has about 1,000 rows and columns, and it's a 10 by 10 cell raster, 10 foot to 10 foot. It's stored in a grid format here. That's an ESRI format, 32-bit, and we can check for the coordinate system. It's a NAT83, UTM zone 18, and the linear units are meters. Okay, so that's our DEM that we're using as our background, and that will form and provide us the elevation data for all of our display, both in 3D Analyst and in ArcScene. So if we go on over, what can we do here in with ArcMap? Well, you can take this raster data set, and within just using the extension under Customize, we can look at the extensions. Just using Spatial Analyst, there's a number of things that you can do with this DEM. You can go ahead and you can reclassify it and create something that looks like this, where your digital elevation information has been classified into discrete categories and gives you a little better view of how to see that data set. You can do that within Spatial Analyst. You can also produce a hillshade, which gives you the impression of, gives you the 3D effect from that digital elevation model. Again, showing you some of the terrain that you have. And of course, we can also pull in maps from ArcGIS Online and things that do a similar thing. We can, of course, we have other images and things. We can actually have this topo in here, and our area of interest is going to be down in this area. So let's just zoom down here a little bit more. This is a full quad topo that we were looking at before for all of the what was called Lake Titus quadrangle up towards the Adirondack area. And our area of interest here is called Horseshoe Pond, and we're going to be right in this area. So we have this Horseshoe Pond, we have some smaller hills around it and things like that, and Eagle Pond dumping into it. So that's just you need a place to work, and here we are. And I'm going to put some points in there and things like that. So here's the so far we haven't even gotten into 3D Analyst. So if I turn on go right click in the gray area up here, just anywhere up there, and I grab 3D Analyst toolbar and bring it in, and here's my toolbar. Everything seems to be grayed out and I can't use it. So don't forget that anytime you want to use an extension, you have to turn it on. So we go back to our Customize menu and we hit the extension option, and here's the extensions available, and we just turn on 3D Analyst. If you turn on an extension that's not available to you, then for license purposes it will scream back at you that this is not available. This is, you can check on it. All of these I think, have been activated. Okay, so just make sure you check on the one you're going to use, and you can see we already had Spatial Analyst checked, and that's because I had a hillshade loaded and things like that and created, and that forced me to turn those on ahead of time in order to do them. Okay, so 3D Analyst. Now you notice up here it's turned on. We set our 3D Analyst, the layer that we want to pull the elevation information from. Well, the only real one we want is this one right here, which is our DEM. And so now all the information that it pulls from elevation information, it's going to pull from this DEM. And we can turn off the USGS topo quad here. And here's the pond area. If I slip it back on, there's the pond area. And one of the things that we can do is we can turn on some other data sets. We have data points for the pond. We have the shoreline of the pond points. Let's turn that on, leave that on. And then we also have some aerial images of those areas. And I've only downloaded a couple tiles, partly because when we get into the ArcScene, moving things around, the smaller the area that you can work with, the better, because obviously unless you have a much larger system and a great graphic card, you're going to be waiting while it refreshes the display. And of course you can turn things off, and so it doesn't refresh until you have spun around and things like that, and you'll see that in a minute. Okay, so we're going to use these images here. So there's our study area. So let's zoom into that area a little bit more. A couple of nice tools that you can grab in 3D Analyst up here is you can create a contour tool. So if you're interested in a contour interval around a certain area, you can actually just click here and it will take that point and create an ISO line connecting points of equal elevation. And you probably can't see that well. Let me see if I can change the color of the line here to just bright green. There we go. Maybe you can see that a little better. Now, so we've got the green line in here, and this is an ISO contour, and that's right here. And we also have the capability to do another neat thing, which is do a line of sight. And so very often you want to know whether things can be seen from one to the other. By the way, one thing I mentioned to you, you got a graphic like this. If you want to convert it to shapefile, come down to the drawing menu here, right click, and you can convert graphics to features. And you can convert the selected graphics, or you can convert all the graphics on in the map session currently. You can identify which coordinate system you want them to use when they create the new feature, and then of course spit it out to another. And then here is a checkbox to delete it after conversion. So we can actually take that and delete it. Another, maybe do one more contour here. So if we're interested in, say we're at a road intersection, we're wondering what connects to this road intersection, or what other areas are of the same height. Again, click on a point, it'll create an isobar, and here's the isobar there. Let me again grab its color, and there's green, and it goes all the way out here, all the way through here. So all of these are at the same elevation, all of those points. So we have a hill, or coming up to here, to this is more or less the top up in this area. And we can just come down here on the, as I said, on the drawing, and convert to graphics. And we can take that off, and we'll convert all of them. And we can say we can use the data frame source for the coordinate system and spit them out, and we can call them two line converted graphics. Close enough. Okay, and then we can put them in, and notice that they stayed in place because I had forgotten to check that box. All I need to do is select them and delete them. And select them and delete them, and then turn them on here, and they come back. And so now they're a regular feature. If you open the attribute table, they have a shape, they have a name, which is basically the elevation information that it pulled from the digital elevation model. So the first one we created, the second one, is at 450 meters, and the first created was 467 meters, and these are meters. The elevational information is in meters. So that's one of the neat features here, is to be able to create contours. Of course, that may not be the easiest way if you're going to create contours for the whole quadrangle. There are tools in 3D Analyst that would allow you to contour the whole thing. So we could contour the whole area. Again, take the DEM, spits it out to another file. That's fine. And interval, let's go 20 meters. Didn't Shouldn't take that long. There we go. So we have a lot more contours now. And if we zoom back into our area of interest, they start showing up on here. There we go. All right. So there's those tools there that would allow you to very quickly create a contour lines. And those are also available in Spatial Analyst. Okay. The nice pick one here, if you want to just connect and not know the contour level at one particular point, that's very handy. The other neat thing is this one called create a line of sight. And one of the things we have here, we've got some cell towers. So I'm going to zoom out to these two cell towers. Okay, so we have a cell tower here. Let me turn off our contour. And we have a cell tower here. Well, let's leave them on for a minute. And you can tell by the new contour lines I created that this is up on a hill. This is up on a hill as well. A little lower hill it looks like, because they may very well be the same contour here. And we have the pond down below. And we have another ridge along here. And if we were interested in whether or not a site could see the cell tower, or the cell tower see this site, or each other, then we can use a tool up here called line of sight. You click on this tool, and essentially you can offset the distance. So you can say, well, it's set right now for 2 meters. So what that's saying is the observer offset is 2 meters and the target offset. Basically, 2 people, approximately 6 foot high, standing on the at the cell towers, could they see each other? And so if you use those, and you can adjust them as you want, then you click on the one site, draw the line to the other site. It uses the DEM that you have set up here in 3D Analyst, up here, and it creates a line of sight for you. And the areas in green are the areas that that are visible to you from this position, and the areas in red are those that are not. And then what you do is you can come over here to this tool, and you can get a profile graph of that area. And here's the graph. Let's see if I can put it way up here. There you go. There's the graph. And you can see that as we start out at this location here, we see right near us, and then there's a slight drop in the hill, and blocks all of this down to here. So all of that is hidden from our view. We see this a little bit, and then we hit another ridge point, and we lose this area as well. And the same thing here, and the same thing here. Okay. Now obviously this is directional. It's from here to here, because if this line, because if it was going the other way, it's going to be different. This point is obviously going to see these areas and this area along here, and probably almost all the way down to about here. So let's check that. So here we have one profile. I don't think we can have more than one profile at a time. Let me look and see here. We're going to try it. Let's see what happens. See if the old profile will stay up there. Okay. So let's try another line of sight. This time we're going to go from here, also 2 by 2. We're going to go from this base to that base. All right. And then we're going to ask for another profile. It may be, by the way, it overwrites this. So just keep this in mind, that we had large blockage here, small and small. So let's try that. Profile graph. Oh, no. Beautiful. We get both side by side. So if we somehow flip this, coming from here back to there, we do see a short distance, which is along here. We then have an area that we can't see, which is really here. A long area of visibility, which is all of this. And then we start hitting these bumps coming back the other way, in different places hidden. So that's how you can use that profile line of sight, and get your profile and see what's happening on the landscape and how it's impacting your site. It's a great tool for, say, if you wanted to locate an overlook area or something, and you didn't want them to see a tower, or they didn't want you something else. Well, put the person at that site and go to the position, the place that you don't want to have visible, and see if they can see it. Simple as that kind of thing. Now, the other thing neat about 3D Analyst is it can create, and we'll use one of the tools over here, it can create a view shed. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so what the profiles have shown us is that viewing from this cell tower to this one, we had different areas visible than viewing from this cell tower to this one. Even though both cell towers could see each other, the areas on the landscape that they could see were different because of the terrain and how they were looking either over, down, or against the side of a hill and things like that. So when you're doing view analysis, whether something can be viewed from something else, you really need to be sure of which direction you're interested in. And for our purposes, for our little study here, we're going to say we're thinking of putting a little visitor center down here, but they don't really want to put it here if every time that people are here they're going to see this or they're going to see that. They'd like to have a nice natural experience. So where can they put this location? One way of doing that is to pick, you can actually pick a site and you could do something like this. You could do your view shed, create a line of sight. You say from here, just say here, will they see that? And you can see this is all hidden and it's not. So that's one way of doing it. And then you can do here and say, what can I see up here? Okay, it's not going to see that, but he might see this. It doesn't really look like it, but he might. So you may want to think about, okay, maybe we don't put it there. What happens if we put it here? And so forth. Now there, he's not seeing anything. And you say, well, geez, here, there, you would think. But there's some ridges and things blocking this. So you might say, this is a better spot. Now you can go about doing that all you want. The other option is you place a point there. And you create what is called a view shed. So let's do that. And actually, excuse me, maybe we could use this one, interpolate a point. Let's just grab this tool right here. We're going to grab that tool up here to interpolate a point. And where did I put it? Right about here, I think. Let's say this is a better location. And we put our site there. And we say we're going to build our little natural area, natural center right there, nature center there. And then we can come down to our drawing tool and we can say convert graphics to features. Here's the point graphics, selected ones, use a data frame, spit them out, and we're going to say nature center for now. Put it there, and then we'll delete it afterwards. Okay, so now we have our nature center sitting right there. What we can do with 3D Analyst is under the visibility toolbox in the Arc toolbox. Under there, we can create a view shed tool, and this will show us all the areas that are visible from this point. And basically, we input our raster, we input our point or observer location, and then we create a view shed output. And you can offset distance from the ground and so forth. We're just going to skip that for now and get moving a little bit faster here. And this is our view shed here. And let's call this Nature Center View Shed. We make it fairly short name. Okay, and put it in there. And what does that look like? When it comes back out, it's going to be right here. It is a raster, and there it is. It's a raster data set, and here's the view shed. So this area, everything that's visible is shown in green. So this is not visible, and this is not visible. So it's an excellent place to put that. Nature Center. It's not, but neither of these towers are visible, at least at the ground level. Now, if they're higher up here, then you might have to do some analysis there to and may take that into effect, the height and whether the height would be visible, and so forth. Okay, so that's some of the things you can do with 3D Analyst. Now the next thing I want to show is this one called ArcScene.